There you go. We are live.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm just opening my file here. Okay, called meeting to order at 5:19. Julianne, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Certainly. Just use that.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Madam Secretary, if you could call the roll, please.
Jeremy Boucher,
Present.
Erin Montano present, Bryn King.
Present.
Okay, Gabriel, I mean, he is coming, right? I think is what he said, Bryn. So I'll just leave it blank for now because I think he is planning on being here later.
Yeah, okay.
Rebecca Boucher,
Present.
Mark Masick,
Present.
Terry Frazier,
Present.
All right. Awesome. So let's go to the agenda, approval of the agenda. Everyone have a look. I think it's pretty simple. If there are any other, or are there any changes, corrections that we need to do? Okay, if not, we will deem them approved. And also I'd like to, so Katie, I don't know if we have to vote on this, but next time, I think what we should do is set it up kind of like the city of Gallup sets up their minutes. So on the agenda for the consent agenda items, it's basically the agenda, the minutes, and then any other things that are like, we might even be able to put your bars in there. Things that are just like a matter of formality. We can put them in the consent agenda, and then it's only if someone votes to remove one of them and put them on the items up for discussion or action that we would remove that item, and then everything else gets approved like in one fell swoop. So
Okay.
that would
I'll
make
a
it,
note for Gene.
yeah. That just make it a little more efficient, and then we're voting, like we're taking an official vote. I mean, I think it's fine now the way that we do it because we had a lawyer tell us it is. But we could put more stuff in there also that are just sort of like, it's a matter of just bureaucratic formality. And then if just one of us wants to pull that item out, we would just request to do that. And then that would go, and I don't know if we have to put this in there's a question for Dan. If we do that, do we have to put that in our bylaws? Anyway, just another way we could set it up that would be more efficient for some of these more bureaucratic kind of things. Anyway, let's move on and look at the minutes from last meeting, September 24th. Same deal. If anyone has any corrections, additions. I was not at that meeting, so. Actually, as I'm looking at that, on our official minutes here, it's not marked off who was present at that meeting. Did we not have quorum?
The September we did.
Was
But
September
not-
we did? Okay,
October we didn't.
okay.
So we didn't do October, but here are the minutes for September and the folks present.
I thought October was we couldn't have the meeting because it wasn't posted on time.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
sorry.
that's right. That's
You're
right.
right, you're right,
No,
you're
so
right.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong document here. Now I see everyone who was there. Okay, I was there.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, October wasn't posted. I forgot.
Right.
I have a question. I don't know I wanted to discuss kind of our drug policy, in-school drug policy or whatnot. I don't know when the right time for us to do that. Is it something that we need to put in the agenda, or is it something we just kind of can ask questions about or look through
Yeah.
our
So the best time to
policy?
do that would be to bring it up when Julianne's giving her report. So if you have a specific question about a policy, then ask Julianne, and then maybe she can either, if she knows off the top of her head, she could answer the question, or we could put it into a specific report for the next agenda or for the next
Okay.
meeting. Or we can have, I mean, those are times when we can kind of have like more of a conversation. It's not an action item, right? So usually like when someone's giving a report and you're asking questions about policies, that would be a time to do it. Because it's not really a specific action item, so we don't have to technically have it as on the agenda. But it's something we could get into during reporting.
Thank you, Bruce. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, are there any, if there are no additions or corrections, we can deem them approved. Are there any additions or corrections? All right, there being no additions and corrections, let's move on to the next agenda item, which is,
Jeremy, may I
Yeah.
interject something?
yeah,
I appreciate the suggestion about the consent agenda items. Though in order for me to make the best decisions as a board member, I think that any of that information that would go on the consent agenda item would need to be furnished to us to review beforehand.
right.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's something, Terry, like if it's gonna be something more than just the agenda or because right now it's always just the agenda and the
Right.
minutes from last meeting. If it was something more substantial, we would make sure that everyone got that ahead of time so they could review it.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to principal's report. Take it away, Julianne.
All right. Right now, our current enrollment is 751 plus 20 pre-K. So it's down 10 from the 40th day. Our current enrollment for Native American is 435, that's 57% of our total enrollment. 591 minority, which is 77%. We have 205 students on our wait list from pre-K through high school, and about 40 of those are high school only. So that's a pretty good number to be on the wait list for high school for us. But we can't bring them in because we have no room. There's no new data to report other than we did receive today the annual report, the findings from the charter school division for the 23-24 school year. And naturally, it's infuriating, as always. And one of the items they have is for attendance and retention. They say we do not meet because the attendance percentage rate, the target is 95%, but we were at 92%, and that we didn't submit a attendance improvement plan, which is false, which we did. So I've resubmitted that to, I've submitted the evidence to Charter School Division for them to review it. And they had us does not meet for staff credentialing. They say licensure discrepancies were not resolved at the end of the school year. As you know, they switched from STARS to NOVA, and the NOVA did not give us a report. So we ran our own report and showed no discrepancies, but somehow on their report, one teacher was showing, or one staff member was showing up, and he had left in November, but they were saying that in July, he didn't have the proper credentials by June or July. And I have the documentation from Jenna Jacquez at the Licensure Bureau that yes, we were in the clear, but they will not change the finding, and it says does not meet the standard, because that's how they run, and it's infuriating. And the only other does not meet that we had was under accounting principles. So those were the three do not meet criteria and all of the framework criteria that we are evaluated on by the Charter School Division. So I will continue my battles with them. The other thing of note is that we are going to apply for the CSP grant yet again. I think this is time number 5, perhaps, or maybe 4 or 5. So maybe that's the lucky time, and that has to be submitted on December 11, which Bryn called for the National Day of Prayer and Fasting that day to see if we could get our charter school grant. And if you want, I can, since Bryn has already mentioned the policy about drugs or whatever, I don't know if you want me to just say something or if you have a specific question, Bryn.
Sorry, it's hard for me to get back to that unmute button. No, if you just want to say, I'm just mostly curious about like the consequences and the action that's taken with kids and kids that are coming into the school. If we're seeing like an increase of kids that are the kids that are on the wait list problem kids that have gotten kicked out of other schools, or is it, yeah, just those kind of questions.
So at the high school, we have a group of kids, there's probably about 10, who we have had on the radar for a while for having reports of vaping at the school. What obviously the policy is, there's no drugs, including tobacco, allowed on campus. That's the policy. Then the consequences are, depending on the situation, typically it's a number of days of out of school suspension, and then a couple of days of in-school suspension, and 6 counseling sessions on drug abuse or something along those lines, or substance abuse. And that's for a first offense. If they are dealing, then they go automatically to the disciplinary hearing committee. And typically what's happened in the past is if they're caught dealing, we say that, and then they wind up withdrawing and going to another school because they don't want to be facing expulsion. But usually for a first offense, that's what we do. For a second offense, if somebody is caught with especially a marijuana vape, then they could be brought before the disciplinary hearing committee. If it's a nicotine vape, then chances are they would receive a suspension and be given additional times for counseling on nicotine. But it's the marijuana, I think, is the major problem. And there are a few kids who it's their culture in their home to do it, and their culture just spilled over into the school. But typically, if somebody's caught twice, then they wind up withdrawing before they have to go to the disciplinary committee because they'd be facing the possibility of expulsion.
Okay. I'm wondering, like, I don't know. I've heard from my own kids that, it's like hard to go into the bathrooms because kids will just be in there huddled and just makes it kind of awkward. And you try to go during other class times. And then like, I know that, sorry, I'm like breathing deep because I just walked upstairs. I know that Mr. Gilliland was like asking Cameron, like, I feel like everybody leaves my class, like gets out of or goes to the bathroom during my class. And Cameron was just saying that it's because in between, it's like you don't want to go in there, and get caught with like all the problem kids vaping in there and stuff and feel like, anyway, it's just uncomfortable. But I just kept thinking about it. Like, I feel like the consequence needs to be a little bit harsher and more focused on, I don't know, almost like jail, like community service. Maybe these kids have to go to the the soup kitchen in the morning, and before they come to school, they are serving to the people who are, you know, on the streets and who are homeless, because I just kind of want, I'm wondering if we present them with the opportunity to see kind of where they're headed with the choices that they're making, and get them out doing some of those kinds of things. Maybe they have to go to the food bank and do stuff like that, and they have to have recorded time before they're able to return or something like that. Anyway, I'm of course just brainstorming and curious what everybody else thinks, but I don't know if I think the counseling is good, because obviously I think a lot of drug use comes from buffering something, and of course home environments and different things like that. But I'm just wondering, you know, what more can we do to like really get these kids contributing in a better way, that maybe it'll be something that will redirect them.
Uh,
And
Bryn, can I interrupt real quick?
sure.
Well, what's like, how often is this happening at the school, Julianne? Is this a regular occurrence, or is this pretty rare?
Well, there only been probably a handful of kids who've been caught twice. A number
Okay.
of kids have been caught once with a vape, not necessarily vaping, but with a vape, but there's also a culture of students not reporting because they don't want to be a snitch or whatever. And so if we're not informed about it, then it makes it hard. We don't have any grounds to search a student. So if we don't find a vape, or we don't have evidence of that student vaping, then there's nothing I can do. So we would have to rely on the culture of the students to say there's somebody in the bathroom vaping. Now we can put people, when we came up with a plan, even today, we were talking about how can we make sure the bathrooms are monitored more frequently. So we came up with a list of some interventions in order to make sure that there's supervision by the bathrooms, especially during passing times or lunch times or before school, after school. But kids are very, very sneaky, and it doesn't take much to vape. They can lean over in their, sitting on a chair, lean over in their bag and vape right into their bag. You know, it's the same thing with their using their phones. They can do it. And a teacher could be right there in the room and not see it, but other students will see it, but other students will not come forward. So if other students could come forward, then we'd be able to put that to bed and get those kids on the plan to either improve and be done with it, or to get out of the school either by withdrawal or suspension or expulsion. But if we
Is
don't
that
know,
proposed to the students more? Because maybe that conversation needs to happen more with the kids, where you encourage them. Because I think there's this culture of like, I don't want to be a snitch. Like I might get the heck beat out of me, you know, and there's
Yeah.
fear and there's all of that, where I think maybe we empower the students and say, hey, it's all about snitching on one another. If you catch somebody doing something bad, you report it, because we want this environment to be better. And if you guys want a better environment, then, you know, and you people who are doing the things that are not right, just know that you will be told on. You will be found out about, you know, and
Yeah.
kids are being encouraged to tattle on you.
we have repeatedly given that message. In fact, I pulled the kids out of school, out of class, on a non-assembly day and had them assemble in the gym because two of our female athletes physically attacked another girl in the school. Those two girls were set up for a disciplinary hearing and decided to withdraw before their hearing, which was supposed to be tomorrow. So, but when that happened, I assembled the entire high school student body, and we talked about that again. And I tell them, you don't need to worry about snitching because you're not going to prison. You're trying to create the culture that we want here in the school. We talked about it for 15 minutes or so. And then before we walked back into their classroom, I told them, do not even cross the threshold back into those classes if you're not on board with helping me create this school to be a better place. And I said, you either tell me you're committed, you're with me, you're going to help support this, or so there is no violence, there is no drugs, none of that. Every single student was like, I'm with you, Mrs. Hillock, I'm with you, I'm committed, before they walked back to their class.
And I heard really good feedback about everything. And I think that your emotion and your stance and your disappointment in the behavior came across really clear with the students, and they were affected by that. So I think you did a really good job of handling that.
Well, thank you, but none of them have reported since then.
Do we have solid numbers on this, Julianne? Like the number of reported cases versus like, I don't know, just assumptions on how many kids are actually doing this kind of thing?
We only have rumors, so we troll through social media, you know.
Yep.
We try to figure, there is, I mean, we could go back through our disciplinary process to figure out, I mean, maybe 5 kids have,
Like in the last 4 years, or is that this year?
yeah, in the last, since we've been open, I think about
Okay,
5 kids have been put on the track of disciplinary hearing because it was their second offense. Or they withdrew because they were facing that. Now, you know, the rumors are that it's in the bathrooms, it's frequently, it could be day to day. But it doesn't take much. We don't have the vape detectors. Now the vape detectors are expensive, and we put them in the CSP grant, which we did not get. So maybe we'll continue to try to get those. The problem is, it's like, okay, they know that there's no vaping in this bathroom because there's a vape detector. However, there's a corner of the school, into their backpack, in the step outside, go into the gym, be in the you know, there's 1,000 places they can go if they want that,
Yeah.
to participate in that. We can try and try and try to prevent it, but then at the same time, it's like, well, should we try to catch them, and then we can discipline.
I almost wonder, like, sorry, I almost wonder about being like so annoying that they almost have a special person that literally follows them around, and that they're all just kind of, you know, their groups gathering and they're chatting, and there's this teacher that's just kind of right there hanging out with them. And it's like, if you guys want more freedom, then you make better choices. Otherwise, you have a little patrol agent right by
the hard
you.
thing, we can't harass.
Can I?
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
No. So I think to me, the next step would be if we know that there's an issue and we've tried, you know, like, I think your approach, Julian, is really good. Like, there's a fine line between like calling kids in and being like, who is it? Tell me, you know, because that's never going to work. I've seen that play out before, and it's never pretty. So I think like trying to bring them on along with your vision for the school, and it's their school and they're just as responsible as anybody else. That's good. But could we get law enforcement involved and say, hey, look, what if we did random, I mean, this used to happen to us in high school when I was a kid, random drug dogs come in and, you know, they're sniffing, like, all the kids leave the room. You got to leave all your stuff in there. Let the drug dog
We've
go
done it.
through.
We've done it before.
And just have that happen, but just continuously, you know, like,
Yeah,
all the time.
we've called them 3 times this semester, and we can't seem to get it scheduled, but from the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
But Elizabeth is on it. I mentioned it again to her today, and we're trying to do it for the 9th because we're taking our junior high students to Arizona. And so I thought we would see if we could get the dogs to come in on the 9th and just go through by their bags, because I don't want to be dealing with them bringing stuff cross state lines and being in a hotel.
Ugh, yeah, right.
Dealing with any of that. So we were trying to have the dogs come on the 9th and then go through the line of the students going on their field trip and then go into the high school. But we've had the dogs before and they've never found anything. So, but I'll tell you what, these kids are totally sneaky. There's like the liner of the bag in the trash can, but there's a certain number of bags underneath that they place the vape in there for the next person to come in. They have secret hiding places, and underneath the lip of the toilet stall bath, you know, the thing, they have all these places. And if we find that place, they find another.
It's insane.
It
But
is
remember,
insane.
if they put half as much energy into that, into like, you know,
Passing their
trying to
classes,
get the class,
yeah.
yeah, they would be crushing it.
they would. We'd be all going to Harvard. Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't want to stop this conversation. I do have to jump at 6 actually for another meeting. So I don't know if you want to go through the finance stuff.
Sounds good.
And then can circle back if you want. And Laura's here too, in case we run over with finance.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Katie. I know, I think, so anyway, just to kind of put a pin on it, Bryn, like if if there's other concerns, maybe come talk to Julianne. And then if you feel like this is something you want to do a deep dive into, and maybe you could bring some suggestions as far as like policy adjustments that we could do. But until we have like something solid to vote on, it's kind of just conversations. So anyway, that might be something to look into if you wanted to kind of take that on and really do a deep dive into it. But okay, so thank you for that, Julianne. Next thing. Looks like you're up, Katie.
All right. I think y'all can see my screen, right? Okay. All right, so this is the October actuals and November forecast, just because November closed like 2 days ago. So we've not closed November yet. And so I just want to give an update on where we are with the forecast. So I did increase our revenue by the 6 kids, the additional 6 kids for the SEG. I did update expenses. And so what I did is I took what our payroll and our payroll liabilities were, like our benefits for the month of October. And I said, if they stayed the same for the rest of the year, what would happen? So it doesn't mean that our salary and benefits are going to go up by this amount. This is kind of worst case scenario. But I did put that in there because we just want to make sure we have a conservative estimate. And like I said, we do have some upside on this projection, whether it's bond funds coming in February, March, transportation funds hitting and paying for some of the buses. And so I could zero out that line, but I haven't yet. But we do need to continue to limit our spending overall. And then if we want to look at the salaries, here's where they changed, with the majority being in instructional assistants. And again, I'm not saying they're going to change. This is going to be the number in November. I'll update it again. And we may have just had some turnover in October, which made October look higher. As far as cash flow goes, November and December don't look great. They're not going to go into the negative, but they're in here because I don't have much revenue hitting in November and December. We don't start getting a lot of our big bucks until January, February, March. More of the RFRs will come in, and that's when our lease assistance dollars hit, and that's $500,000. And impact aid, which we got the funding, but we still haven't seen the money. I don't know when we'll get it. It's always up in the air. I wish it wasn't. But one of the things I did want to go through is where are we with spending down some of these funds? So for the most part, we're on track with Title I and IDEA. We do need to probably ramp up some of our allocations on these to make sure we spend them down by the end of the year. The bus allocation to buy the buses, we just completed that today. So that one is totally spent. Ed fellows will be spent by the end of the year. Lease assistance will be spent. So the majority of these will be spent by the end of the year. Title II is always very hard to spend, but we need to probably put some EAs on that. And then outdoor learning and the Native American Culture Grant. I don't know. I mean, as of now, nothing has been spent. We're No dollars have gone out the door for these, but there might be purchase orders open for them. So we are on track to spending all of these down. It just takes time throughout the year. So we're continuing to pay off vendors. We did pay off the buses. And work on the bond items, because I know Kyle, Julianne, and I worked on them last year, and we need to refresh them and then hopefully get those out the door in February. Or get the bond in the door in February. Here's the bank reconciliation. This is November's. Sorry, this is September's. I have November on the brain. September's bank rec with any of the outstanding checks, in addition to the revenue that came in. We didn't actually see any of our USDA money hit until October. So most of this is just little, like the state money and then some other smaller amounts that have trickled in. Here is the check register. These are all the expenses that did go out. The majority of our money goes to payroll benefits or payroll right now until we start getting more of these reimbursements. Here's our October bank reconciliation. I know this is riveting, guys. And these are the outstanding checks for October. And one of our voided checks, which we did reissue. We started to see some of our other revenue come in October. So our Ed Fellows money, some more of our title funds started coming in, and some of our USDA money. And then get the same thing. Here's our check register. A lot of that money didn't hit till the very end of the month, so we didn't have a ton hitting. We didn't have a lot of expenses that month. So anyway, there's your bank recs and your check registers for November, for October and September. There we go. That's limits. You want?
All right. So since those have been presented, that's kind of out of order, but we can probably just vote on that, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, or I can just present everything and then you,
Yeah, we could just do, yeah.
and then you can do them later. I mean, Laura will be on if you have questions.
Okay. And then,
So,
well,
what do you want to do?
do you want to run us through the bars real quick too then, if you got to jump
Yeah,
off?
I'll run you through the bars. And then the Indian policies and procedures. So we have to vote on these every single year for impact aid funding.
Right.
And they come directly from the feds. And so there's really not any changing we can do to them, but we have to vote on them to establish them. And then we have to upload their application in January.
Right.
So here you can read through them, but they do not change year to year because of the federal statutes. Okay, so our bars, the first one is our Johnson O'Malley funding. This is funding that we received this year, but they didn't let us budget with it originally, so I had to do a bar for it, $32,000. This one is for an additional, or actually several additional Ed Fellows, and so we added them to our grant. Our Title I funding, there's this very small decrease due to reconciliation. I have a feeling we're going to see this go up at the end of the year if they ever get us our allocation out in time, which they have not over the past few years. This is a new grant, this farm to school planning grant. I think this is our food service, like Eva and Kyle, they worked on this. It's for specific vendors for like farm to table kind of food. Eva knows more about the grant, but we did receive that one. And then this one is hot off the presses. This is our lease assistance money for $500,000. And as soon as we approve this, I get to submit a reimbursement for half of it tomorrow. So
Awesome.
I do have one question
Yeah.
on the Johnson O'Malley.
Yeah.
That you mentioned that you had to create a bar for that. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
So by the time we got the award letter, budgeting was over. And so I couldn't do, I couldn't submit it with our original FY
Okay.
25
Okay,
budget. Yeah. So
I
that's
get
why it's in here. It's not really new money. It's just,
okay.
it's like a paperwork issue. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
that's all I have. And if you guys have questions for me, let me know. If not, I will let you guys finish the meeting and then Laura can answer any questions.
I think I think that's good.
Okay.
Just holding on for January, February, March, April.
Me too. Me
Not
too.
kidding.
All right, guys. Laura's the host, so she should be able to keep the recording going.
All right, thanks, Katie.
All right, thanks, y'all. Bye, guys.
Right.
Okay, so let's do the next action item or the first action item here. So we have to amend the minutes for March 26th for Mark Masick so we can stay in compliance here. It's another one of those things. Julianne, do you want to, I mean, this is because we voted to bring everybody on, but not to have them start officially until the fiscal year, right? Which is what the state
No.
asked us to do, right?
What we need to do is vote that Mark Masick and Ben Masick are the same person.
Oh.
Mark Ben.
That's right. Okay. Yes.
Then Mark.
So, I would entertain a motion to amend the minutes for March 26th to include Ben Masick's legal name, Mark Masick, and also his middle name, Benedict, so that there's no confusion. Do I have a motion?
I move that we amend the March minutes to reflect that Mark Benedict Masick is a board member.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
We should probably correct his spelling to M-A-C-I-K.
So, I move that we amend the original minute or the original motion to include also the amendment of, or the correction of the spelling of his name. Do I have a second?
I second that amendment.
This is a lot of work to get Ben on the board.
We gotta dot the T's and cross the I's. Is there any further discussion? All right, there being no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Aaron, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bryn,
Aye.
Gabriel,
Aye.
Rebecca,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Harry.
Aye.
All right, congratulations, Ben, you exist.
Ben Moore.
Officially,
Mark Ben.
Mark Ben Masick. Okay, let's take a look at the Indian policies and procedures. Yeah, so I think Terry, you might have some questions on this. This is another one of those things where it's kind of like you probably have way more expertise in this. This is the stuff that comes down from the feds to us, so we just kind of go with it and make sure we're following those policies. So if you
Right, and I think that your Indian policies and procedures, I reviewed them. I've had them in hand for a while. In accordance to the federal requirements, you have everything that's there. Now, earlier today, Julianne took some time out of her busy day, and we had some discussion about a lot of different things, including that. And so the fact that we're voting on the document itself that you're submitting, that's one thing. Implementing what you have in that document is probably a whole nother talk show. And so the fact that we are approving this tonight is necessary and great that you have them in order. But I've offered my time to work with Julianne and other staff members to understand what that actually entails.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's the part I actually get, like what needs to go in there, how it's done, when if it's timely, you know what I mean? And I think that there's a lot of potential here, and just hearing the numbers of the report and you having 57% Native American students here now, I think that it's important that we get those processes established, because more and more parents will start to ask, and I'm really prepared to come in and do the work that's needed on a volunteer basis with Julianne and any staff member who is assigned to those duties.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great, Terry.
Yeah, we'll have it in order.
Awesome. So as far as the actual policies themselves go, does anybody have any questions? All right, I would entertain a motion then to approve the Indian policies and procedures for impact aid funding 2020, well, for this fiscal year. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the Indian policies and procedures processes for this school year.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All right, there being no further discussion, we'll call for the vote. Aaron, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bryn?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Done deal. On to the next here. Okay, so Katie gave a quick rundown of the bank rec and the check and the check register. Does anybody have any questions about any of those expenditures or how that shook out? All right. I would entertain a motion to approve the September and October bank reconciliation check register. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve the check register for September and October
Also the bank reconciliation?
and the bank reconciliation.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All right, any further discussion? All right. I'll call for the vote. Aaron,
Aye.
Bryn,
Aye.
Gabriel,
Aye.
Rebecca,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
done deal. Okay, and then the last thing, of course, is nobody had any questions when Katie was doing her presentation. So at this time, I would like to just entertain a motion to approve the bars as listed and presented by Katie earlier in the meeting. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve the bars as listed and presented by Katie.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? There being no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Aaron, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bryn?
Aye.
Gabe? Sorry, Gabriel?
Sorry, still on mute. Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
Ben? Mark?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Awesome. So that's the last of our action items. I did not get any emails for comments from the community. So that's all we had to do. Let's adjourn. Thanks, everyone.
I motion.
Thank
do
you
we have to
all.
move to adjourn?
No, we actually don't have to motion, Terry. Again, this is another lawyer thing. We actually had a really nice presentation a few years ago, And,
Okay.
it is actually, Senator, Ivy Soto.
Oh, yeah.
right?
He's great. He's a
Yeah,
great
and
lawyer.
he told us, why are we asking if we can quit the meeting? Are you done? You're done. Just adjourn.
Oh,
It's like, okay, great.
okay, nice.
Yeah. So I guess maybe if we had a contentious meeting and things were going on and on and on, then we would have to move to adjourn. But since we finished all our business, we can just adjourn.
Cool.
6:03. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right,
Bye.
good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.